This is a Hot Pie Media original. Hi, I'm Deb, and this is my podcast.
You're listening to the Deb O'Keefe Podcast, the podcast where Deb O'Keefe doesn't know anything.
And of course, what is a Deb O'Keefe podcast without a big thank you to Early Bird CBD gummies? I just saw your billboard the other day, Early Bird, looking sexy. And thank you for re-upping me on my gummies. I was sharing these with some friends the other day. We were hanging out and you didn't want to have a glass of wine, didn't want to have a drink. I was working out the next morning and we wanted to chill out together. So I shared these Early Bird CBD gummies. Of course, they're not just CBD, they're THC as well. My friends loved them. Now, one of my friends, Jamaican, big taker in of the weed. The other one, no, she's not so much, but she, like me, likes to have a good chill feeling without getting messed up, and that's what we get when we enjoy Early Bird CBD gummies. They're right here from Austin. You can order them from anywhere in the world though, and you get a discount, earlybirdcbd.com/Deb for 20% off your first order. That's Deb for 20% off everything on Early Bird CBD gummies website. It's not just the gummies, they have tons of other things as well, and the flavors are delicious. The results are very chill and delicious too. Go to earlybirdcbd.com or use the code DEB today. Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know much about anything. I do know that I've got a house full of animals that give me so much joy, but also just spread hair everywhere. It's disgusting. I try to keep it from being disgusting. It's thanks to the Dyson, not an ad, but you can advertise here if you want. But the other day, and also I've got two cats that are semi-wild, and if you know me, you know I've got this big cat tent out in the back. They go through the dog flap that I had made in my door in my house for my old dog, and my ex-boyfriend bought this giant cat tent that attaches. It has like a tube. It's all made out of mesh, and the cats can go out and hang out and just chill out, and we don't have to worry about them getting killed by cars, like what happened to my last cat, George, R.I.P. But recently, the big fat white cat Coco has been getting out somehow through under like the sliding door of the flap, the cat flap, the dog door. Okay, this is where it's weird telling this story. Growing up, we called those cat flaps because they were just the flaps for the cats to go in and out of. And now, I bought one for my dog. I call it the dog flap, but the cats use it because the dogs don't use it. And is cat flap weird? Is that sexual? Cat flap? Sorry, it's a weird thing. But anyway, so one of the fat cats gets out under the cat. I'm just going to keep saying cat flap because I'm more comfortable with it. But she gets under the cat flap, and then buggers off. But then he comes back again, and everything's been pretty good over the last couple of weeks. And so I started letting the cats go out when I'm home. When I'm in the house, they're allowed to be outside, and I can monitor them and sort of go and grab them when I want to. And I've been reasonably happy with that because if I keep them inside, they're arseholes, especially the white one, the Coco, who gets out of the top of the cat flap. But the other day I had run an errand and I was out of the house and I get a text from my next door neighbor who said, "Hey, I just saw Alfie." Now, that's my dog. That's the French bulldog. Just saw Alfie in the front garden. Well, Alfie is not supposed to be in the front garden. Alfie has no front garden access. And it means that Alfie got out through the cat flap, over the tent, round the corner, under a gate, into the front garden, and then jumped out in the road, running down the road after someone. So my next door neighbor picked him up and put him back in the front garden. And I thought, oh crap. And I wasn't able to get in touch with him again because Alfie can get out of the front garden. I spent about 5 hours one day when I first got Alfie putting up hog wire all around my fence. I had hog wire, 5 by 5 holes. I don't know. What's that? How big's that? So I put some wire across it that was small, like chicken wire. So he couldn't get out and he just climbs up it now. It's like a convenient little ladder. So he gets up the ladder and climbs out and chases whoever comes down the street. Not in a mean way. He wants to play with them. But got out, the neighbor saw him, put him back in the garden. I guess didn't realize that immediately as soon as he turned his back, he would probably just get out again. So that's what I'm thinking happened. And I get home thinking, hopefully Alfie's in the front garden, and he's not. And I just absolute mental nightmare breakdown, run and knock on all the neighbors' doors, and all my neighbors come out to help. It was so nice, but I'm in the middle of telling the story. I think you got out the cat flap. He got out the cat, and I just keep saying cat flap in the middle of my just abject terror and not realizing if that is a weird thing to keep saying. Anyway, so we're searching. We're all freaking out. My opposite door neighbor also has a couple of Frenchies. So she's like right there with me, freaking out. And I just had a moment of thought. I said, well, maybe I'll just run back to the house and double check. Maybe he went back in the house again through the Catflap. I opened the door and there he is just sitting on the front doorstep inside the house, like absolutely nothing had happened. So that was what was going on with me earlier. And that's, there's lots going on. Thanks, Alfie. You're a jerk. All right, let's just get into it before I mess anything up again, because I'm just excited to speak to my next guest. I think I've tried like 3 intros now, but this is my friend, your friend, musician extraordinaire, Nakia.
Hello.
Hi, old
Deb.
Friend.
I know.
It's so good seeing you.
It is good to see you.
And
I feel like it's been forever.
It has been forever, thanks to COVID and a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
But let me just explain to the listeners and viewers who you are. If you've watched The Voice, I want to go back to OG Voice, because that was when I was watching it. I like to think it was the best. It's number one, right? First
10
season.
years ago.
Was that it? 10
years ago this year.
So you were chosen to be on CeeLo Green's team, and you actually ended up doing a bunch of work with him as well. So it was a successful, you were semi-finalist on The Voice. It was a successful venture. How, do you watch it now, or do you ever just glance at it and think, oh, it's so bad?
No, I do watch it.
On it.
You know, because of this season, or this year being the 10-year anniversary, I started watching season 20 at the beginning of the year. And the problem for me is that I already have so many other things that I've got going on. Luckily, it's available to watch in pieces, on YouTube. So I tried to watch, basically once they get past, I watch the blind auditions to see who they got. And then once they get past the battle rounds, so I can see who's in the end, because there's so many. There's
a lot going on. There's not only that show, there's just so many other shows. And you've got other things.
Yeah.
Let me just read some of the other things that this guy does, apart from being a semi-finalist, season 1 of The Voice. Of course, you've been a musician here in Austin before you were even on The Voice. That was something that you were doing. Before, since The Voice, you've released your EP. You've worked with CeeLo Green. You formed a nonprofit called Austin, Texas Musicians. And that was in a direct result of COVID and how that was affecting musicians and gig workers.
We essentially had already started.
Oh, wow.
The year before COVID. And basically we kind of formed around this idea that I was tired of hearing musicians complain on Facebook. It's not going to get you anywhere. You have to complain in person at the manager's office, and that's City Hall.
Oh, so you set up KarensForAustinMusicians.com. Nakia, head Karen. Listen, sometimes you got to Karen out a bit to get shit done.
Well, you really do. And especially in Austin, where, they've spent decades trading on the backs of musicians. And, there's never been.
Literally, it's in our tagline.
Yeah. It's the live music capital of the world.
Yeah.
So we had this idea that I had already had this Facebook group that was pretty popular. And I said, let's just start turning that into a nonprofit.
Smart.
And it really, we helped to secure the first ever live music fund for musicians, which is still in flux, and they still haven't decided what to do with that.
Wait, you telling me City of Austin's holding something back?
From musicians. And then, when the pandemic happened, then we really realized that we had a lot of other things that we could do, both of just being like an information hub, but also activating people to get involved. And then when the snowpocalypse happened, we were really involved in that, getting, water and food to folks. And it was a lot of teamwork, a lot of community. Yeah.
A lot. If people don't know what snowpocalypse was, people listening in colder places are saying we get snow every year. Well, in Austin, we don't. And we got the storm of the century that froze everything shut for a week. People were literally without power and
dying.
Yeah. It was super, super serious. I didn't have hot water for the week, which
we didn't either.
You can live with that. You're not super far. Are you still in Mueller?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not super far from me. And I think we live near hospitals. Maybe that was why we got lucky with our power.
We actually had power loss. We were without power for 80 hours.
Well, I got 1 hour.
But we lost water for 3 days.
Oh shit. No, you had it way worse than me.
Yeah. So we were just, because we're in Windsor Park, just north of Mueller right there. So it was pretty crazy.
It was a bad week, and it affected so many people badly. And I'm really glad that you had this set up at least to help some people preliminarily.
Yeah.
But also, you're a big supporter of HAM, which is the Health Alliance for Austin musicians.
Absolutely. HAM is, so many musicians and, family members, musicians, they depend on HAM. They depend on SIMS.
This is for healthcare and mental health care.
We just couldn't, and that's another thing. The reason those nonprofits exist is because of the kind of void that's been created by the lack of help from the city for these musicians that have been here for decades, basically playing for the same money since 1977.
Yeah, you hear about these stories of you think about these old Austin musicians who lived in the back house at Willie Nelson's place for $27 a week. Right. That doesn't exist anymore. No. There is nowhere for anybody to live. And yet, the city touts that we're the capital of live music. Where are they supposed to live? How are they supposed to survive?
And venues closing left and right.
I know.
We lost so many during COVID. And that was one of the things that ATXM was really activated about, was fighting for the city to say, let's put some of this federal funding aside for these music venues, because if they're not open when it comes back, where are we going to go?
Where's our lifeblood?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so, I love that you got in touch with them on that level. So they all know you first name basis down at City Hall, right?
Yeah, I've actually started at the beginning of the year, started pulling away from that because I was wanting to focus more on my music and I've been so involved in, creating music for film and TV and acting again. Right before the pandemic, I was in New York City when they canceled South by Southwest because I was taking an acting class with legendary actress Betty Buckley, and got the word on the way to the class, and had to stop and do interviews with SiriusXM and all this. And it was crazy. But I started, at the beginning of this year, I said, okay, no, for real, I'm going to pull back from the political stuff and get back to the reason that it matters to me.
Back to the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you're a creative person, to have passion and drive and set up foundations and get involved is really important, but you can't neglect that.
You need boundaries.
Yeah, you do.
So, and that was part of the problem is, the phone can ring and it can be Steve Adler on the phone and be like, hey, Nakia, it's Mayor Adler, or he'll say Steve Adler or whatever. And I'm like, great. What do you want? What are we doing this time? Or what do you need or whatever? I was so over it. I want people to call me and go, hey, Nakia, it's, I love
come
the
play
new
this gig.
I don't even want to play gigs right now. Honestly, that's not even it. I want to write songs and record songs and become characters and stuff.
Yeah, you've written a score and you're acting on a web series.
Yeah.
And so you're expanding the Nakia brand.
Big time. Yeah. So I act in Skeleton Crew, which is in its 5th season right now. We're almost to the end of this season.
Can I just describe what Skeleton Crew is for those who don't know?
Yes, please do.
Because I looked it up. I've known you for a long time, Nakia, but you've held some secrets from me.
Okay, great.
You are now you're doing this musical called Dueling Pianos, and it's set in the world of this show,
Correct.
Skeleton Crew. But the way this Skeleton Crew show is described right here is wonderful. It's the award-winning queer fat positive series Skeleton Crew.
That's correct.
And I don't know more of a fat positive or a body positive singer apart from Lizzo than you, really. Maybe, who's stood up and said,
I love her.
Isn't she one? Have you seen? I follow her on Instagram because I'm a whore, but she's learning to do the splits.
I have been watching.
You've been watching?
It's so her and Nicole Byer. Nicole Byer's been learning pole dancing, and she's killing it.
Have you tried either of those things, the splits or pole?
I've accidentally done the splits, and that was something I never want to do again. All of 2019, I did drag. So
get out. How'd I miss that? Was this just a Zoom drag?
No, 2019. This is before Zoom. People even cared about Zoom. 2019.
That's right. That was the year before the nightmare.
It was at Highball. I hosted a monthly drag show called Hot Mess Express with this girl Jenna Von Scrum and my drag character Darla Dane. And I did drag all of 2019.
Just get a quick Google machine while you
it's
talk.
just on Instagram. It's just Darla_Dane, DAYE, like Taylor Dane.
Taylor Dane, of course. Darla Dane.
Well,
thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, of course.
Next time when she gets back out again, you better let me know.
You mentioned earlier all of these other singing competition shows. I actually sent in an audition for the new RuPaul singing competition called Queen of the Universe. And I was shocked
God, following right now.
I'm like, why not? Like, it's drag queens singing live. So
I would love that.
So I sent in, but I didn't hear back. So they apparently are not ready for this heat.
Oh, you're good, by the way. Did you learn to do your own makeup and hair?
I learned to do my own makeup.
I had some.
Listen, it's a journey.
Trust me, I know. When I lived on the east side, I had some gaybers. They lived 2 doors up, and there was 3 gay dudes that lived there, and one did drag, and he was pretty fabulous. And I think his drag name wasn't. God, can I even say this now? This is like 8 years ago, but he called himself Tic Tac Tranny. What up, Tranny? Remember that from SNL?
Yeah.
You might have even met my friend Tic Tac Tranny.
Yeah.
Now I'm questioning that. Are we?
I don't think that they go by Tic Tac Tranny anymore.
No, we've evolved from that.
Yeah.
But he taught me. He did it. He made me up as a drag.
Right.
And it's a surreal. It's funny enough just to see a man become a drag. It's wonderful. A straight man to become drag. Right. But a straight woman to be made drag. I mean, I'm not that feminine. I'm a girl. You can tell, I suppose. But I'm boyish features.
You can tell, I suppose.
I got boobs. I wear lipstick. But I think in another world, I could have, passed as a boy. I look very much like my brother. Oh. But I'm kind of mad. I'm like boyish, really. But when she did my friend did the makeup on me. With the brows up here and the hair pieces and the contouring.
Contouring is where it's at.
I don't know how to do my makeup. I can roll out of bed and I put a bit of this and that on, but that's magic. That is magic. What can be done.
It's painful though.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to listen. Wouldn't want to walk around in heels and perform in that all night.
I have such a new appreciation for women who wear heels, who put on makeup, who put on corsets.
I straightened my hair. I waved my hair or something with the dryer and the straightener. I hate it. The
very first time I put myself in drag, I had corset blisters because I did it so tight, and so I learned so many lessons, so many blisters on my feet. But drag is terribly painful, expensive, and it's a big test of patience. Because people think that because you're in drag, they can just touch you or say anything to you or anything.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And then, but all of the payoff for me was, just kind of expressing myself in this way that as a kid, I was taught was a bad thing.
Yeah. Don't put mommy's makeup on.
Don't put on fingernail polish, which I'm wearing now, all of these things. And that's, again, part of it kind of circles back to this idea that I've been pulling away from doing the things that people expect me to do because that's all I ever thought I was supposed to do. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to sing to make you happy.
Yeah. You're a blues singer. Right. Do it the way we want it.
Right.
The way we can accept it.
All of these things, or you're supposed to dress this way, or you're not supposed to talk about your sex life or whatever. All of these things. And I'm like, fuck that. That's what's held me back from going to the next level for so long, I think.
I think so. I feel really lucky that we're where we are in society right now for folks to be able to express themselves.
Yeah.
For kids, especially if a little boy wants to wear nail varnish.
Yeah.
Even straight, gay, it doesn't matter. And I feel like I really do. I know Whitney Houston said it a long time ago, the children are our future, but some of those children from them are fucking assholes now.
Oh, big time.
All right. And they're running the place and they're jerks. So they should have been thrown in the bin. But what I like to think is that the kids nowadays who actually really seem to care about other children and the world and the climate, I think these ones coming up, they're going to be good. The
ones that are around 16, 17 right now, I think we have good promise for. The ones that are younger than that, I begin to worry about.
Oh, younger than that?
Yeah. I feel like, that because we're skipping, especially kids who had to live through the year of going to school over remote, Zoom.
Yeah.
We're going to miss a whole foundational year for these children to really understand empathy.
Yeah, the social interaction part of the last year has been tough on a lot of kids.
I think that's going to be a really dangerous time as they start to get older. There's a lot of stuff they're going to need to process.
All right, you heard it here first, everybody. This is a TMZ exclusive. Nakia says, cancel children. We've had enough with them.
Listen,
we can't trust them. They grow up to be Elon Musk.
I just can't eat a whole one by myself.
Ew, not at all. Talking of eating, all right. You walked in and number one, you're colorful AF and I love it.
Thank you.
You make a beautiful statement. But number two, you're looking fantastic. You've lost some weight. You're still curvy, which I like because you make a real good cuddle. Mm-hmm. And look at your hair.
I did my hair.
And look at your nails.
My nails.
This isn't just for me, right? This is your new look.
No, this is how in fact, today when I came here from getting my braces adjusted and new brackets put in.
Hey, congratulations on being a grown-up person getting your teeth done.
Got to do it.
Did Invisalign a couple years ago. So grateful for it.
It's my mouth. The guy, my orthodontist was like, I mean, this is one of the worst cases I've seen, when there's a little bit of pride. Right. You're like, and there is.
I'm the worst.
When I went in today, he said, man, you are just really moving. And I said, how can you tell you're not looking at an x-ray or anything? Here I am doubting him. He goes, Nakia, when you came in here, these canines were turned sideways.
Whoa.
He said, now they're straight. And, it's true, but it makes me feel better. I even had these color
I see you
brackets put in. Yeah.
Does that help with the chafing on the outside of
They're called O-rings.
Yeah. Oh, how painful.
Oh, exactly. It's very, very necessary.
It is. And like I just said, brave move. As a grown-up, we all are conditioned to behave a certain way. Like you said, play music a certain way. Mm-hmm. And, I was brought up a straight white female and I am one coincidentally.
Right.
But there are still things that I like to do that maybe aren't societally acceptable. And like, for example, I wanted Invisalign but I shamed myself about it for years about not wanting to get it and being prideful or talking on the microphone with a bit of a spitty mouth because it was a bit spitty every now and then. But I say, these things that we maybe weren't able to do when we were younger, just fucking go ahead and do them. You're a grown-ass person. Not hurting anyone.
You are a grown-ass person.
Do what you want.
But that other person that missed out on that is still in there.
Still in there going, ooh, you shouldn't. You better not because someone's going to say something about it to you.
I mean, listen, part of the Sims thing has been so helpful for me is like the therapy that I've had access to because of them, really being able to learn that, when I get super emotional or upset about something or whatever, the very first question I try to ask myself is, how old do I feel right now? Like, what's going on? Is the adult upset or is this like a childhood thing? It's magical to me how often I'm like, oh man, I'm 13 again. This is why I feel this way. Okay, cool. This is not a real thing.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out for nothing.
I've jumped back in time for a moment.
Because there's so many triggers for me. I was abused as a kid, and bullied as a kid, all of these things. And the fact that I was, raised in Northeast Alabama as a brown queer kid,
we're grateful that you're still alive.
Me too,
frankly.
Especially. I mean, I always joke. I'm like, man, if the internet would have been around, not only would I have run away, but I'd have run away with somebody really bad. So, I mean, my mom used to say that I would stop cars driving in front of the house and have them roll down the window so I could sing to them.
Oh, bless.
It's amazing I didn't get picked up then.
Jeez, we're right. A little panel van come by with a guy with a handful of chocolates. You'd have been gone.
They wouldn't have needed chocolates. I would have just jumped in.
You'd have been gone. Well, thank God for that, because you're a goddamn ray of sunshine now.
Thank you.
You really are. And I think I love the fact that you're taking care of your mental health. And, you're not the first musician in my podcast that said that. My friend Carlos Sosa, you know him? Yeah, of course. Of course you know him. He talked so highly about Ham and Sims for helping Austin musicians with their care. Listen, it's invaluable.
Carlos, I'm going to put him on blast for a second just because in a good way. But I'm sorry if you don't want me to say this, but I was going through some really tough stuff earlier this year where some other folks in the local music industry were just trying their hardest to shit on me and all of the things that the ATXM had been doing and all of this. And
you tell me who they are after this.
Well, that's funny you said that, because Carlos caught wind of some of my troubles because he's on the Sims board.
Yeah.
And my phone rang and it was Carlos, and he was on the other end to remind me of why I shouldn't give a fuck about those people. And by the way, who are those people? Because he would like to also not give a fuck about them. And if he needed to come to the next thing that we were doing or whatever to say something, then he would. It was the exact thing that I needed in that moment. And it really, really touched me. I really love Carlos a lot.
He texted me. We've been texting back and forth about an event. I think you're going to come to it. I'm excited
I hope so.
So we can all get together and catch up. But, he said, how you doing? And, the last couple of years have been up and down, right? So every now and then I'm like, and I sent back, and he wrote back just the best response, like a hug in a text. And it just reminds you, there are people out there who are going to get your back and give you that hug and tell you if someone messes with you, they'll beat them up. Even though obviously we can't do that for legal reasons, but we can say that, right? And that just feels so good.
It really does mean a lot. And Carlos is also the type of person that if something's not jiving with him, and he'll call bullshit.
Yeah.
And that I love that about him as well. And I think, we are in this place where everybody, loves to, complain on social media or talk shit on social media or whatever. But when we get face to face, if you're still going to come at me with some of this bullshit face to face, then I know, like, I don't have time for it.
Yeah, you're out of my life.
That's like, I graduated high school in 1993. So
as that man on the meme said, ain't nobody got time for that.
No,
ain't nobody got time for that. But I'll tell you what I have got time for, to give your show a plug. Skeleton Crew. You can check out Nakia. You're on the original musical songs are on season 5. Skeleton Crew. It's streaming starting December 5th, but you can see the other ones now already streaming. They're already streaming. We're to episode 9 just came out. To remind you of season 5, award-winning queer fat positive series, Skeleton Crew. That sounds amazing. And of course, you can find Nakia's music all over Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. Deb, this musical is the gayest, most sexual thing I've ever done in my life. I've seen Hedwig. It's. I think it might be a little bit more sexual in some spots. There are three songs on the record that we had to mark as explicit because they qualified as explicit. So I'm really excited for people to see it and hear it. There's 3 versions. There's the original cast version that comes out first. Then there's the sing-along soundtrack. So there's no vocals. Karaoke. So people can karaoke to it. And then the last version is my version. So all of the actors had to learn the songs. So I sang all of the songs for them to learn their parts to. Oh, wow. So we're going to put that out as a separate version of just me singing. That sounds amazing. Yeah. Well, I'm so proud of you. Not that I have nothing to do with your success, but it sounds stupid saying I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Oh, well, thank you so much. And I'm going to get a big hug as soon as we get off these microphones. Okay, great. You're a goddamn ray of sunshine. Nakia, thanks so much for coming in. Well, thanks for having me. Love you. Love you too. I told you, didn't I? I told you he was just a lovely guy. And yeah, I had to nip out there quickly and get a big hug from him. Such a lovely man. And of course, you can find Nakia wherever you find your original music and licensed music, of course, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music. You'll also be able to stream the original cast album on Sunday, December the 5th. That's exciting. And of course, you can stream all of those past episodes of the Skeleton Crew season 5 that Nakia was in. Thank you for sticking around today. And again, if you want to support local musicians, there's tons of ways you can do so. The Ham, it's not called The Ham, Deb. It's just, I sound like my grandmother. It's Ham. There's also the Sims Foundation. And of course, Nakia's music foundation himself, the Austin, Texas Musicians Group, which of course is about artist advocacy and funding. Thanks for listening today. And we'll see you soon. Love you. Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all of our other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home online at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.